Welcome everyone, and welcome to the ISTL Round 2. I am Vindicare, and with me is the lovely Pyronia, and we are going to have a really good clan war today between Team NMX, Nightmares, and Metagaming. What can you tell us about these teams, Pyronia?
Well, NMX was the Season 1 ISTL winner, so they are the defending champs, so I definitely think that they're going to be trying to go for a second win as well. They are a really strong team. They've got a ton of grandmasters. They just recently got a sponsor, so they're moving up in the world of semi-pro gaming. And then Metagaming is actually interesting. So they used to be mechanical gamers, and then their leader left, so they made a new clan called Metagaming, where they sort of rallied together. And they've got a really neat sort of mentality. They've been hitting the team leagues really hard, so they've been having a lot of success in the Zeke team series. So, they're trying to do a lot as a clan versus promoting their individual players. So, two very different groups, realistically, but they're both doing a lot of tournaments and things like that. So, yeah, it should be a good match, hopefully. I'm excited.
Yeah, I was checking around the Team Liquid thread that we have for the ISTL. You guys can check out that thread and leave comments and hype up this ICL if you guys are watching right now. I was checking around that thread, and apparently NMX is one of our more popular teams that we have already in this tournament. But I mean, I managed to cast Team Metagaming on Sunday, and they were going against Flow Gaming, and they have a lot of really good players. I saw a lot of really awesome matches played by players from Metagaming. So I really don't know how this is going to work out. This could definitely be an upset of one of our favorites. But would you consider NMX to be one of our favorite teams in this tournament?
I would think so. I mean, just the sheer number of GMs that they have at their disposal. You know, not only, you know, a lot of teams, it's like they've got a couple GMs and maybe, you know, 4 to 5 extra really top masters. But NMX has something like 8 GMs currently, so it's going to take a lot to go through them all. You know, so it's pretty beastly, you know, and the last finals of the ISTL, it wasn't necessarily the best matchup. You know, NMX just came out and decimated their opponents. So I definitely think that they're probably the favored in this matchup. But, you know, I mean, people have gotten upset before. We've seen a lot of all kills so far this season. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, something surprising happen.
For sure. That's something that happens a lot in team leagues, is that, like, I don't know if you've seen like the GSTL a lot, but like you'll see like matchups come up and you're like, oh, it's gonna be like a really close match. These teams are like really closely like together, and then like just one team just comes out and all kills everybody, and then like another thing will happen. Will be like, oh, this team should like all kill this other team, and then like it's like a game 7, like all the way down to the wire. Like SCVs are being pulled, like everything's just like absolute chaos, and you're like, oh wow, how did this ever get this close? So you never know with team leagues. It's one of the absolute like. It's one in my opinion the things that really separates like team leagues from like individual play. I mean, you have upsets that are in individual play, but team leagues, just because of how volatile everything is, like it can change so rapidly. So I'm looking forward to some awesome games today, Pyronia. I actually hope that we don't see an all kill. I hope that this goes to like a game 7 with like really like close play, but that's up to the players to decide. We as the casters have absolutely no control over that.
Yep, and so I'm a little bit nervous here right off the bat for our MG player. So he's ranked 20 Masters, 129 wins to 130 losses, so pretty even win-to-loss ratio. And unfortunately, he's going up against Masa, who I don't actually know that we've seen play in the team league. I don't know if they put him out last season, and he's currently ranked 17 GM.
Well, we will have to see how these two players actually perform. The first map is going to be ESV Cloud Kingdom. We will be loading up into the map very, very shortly. Once again, if you are just joining us, I am Vindicare, and with me is Pyronia. You are watching round 2 of the ISTL. It is going to be a game between Team Nightmares and Team Metagaming, and we have Masa versus Ember on Cloud Kingdom. So we're just waiting for everybody else to load into the game right now.
Yep, here we go. I'm so excited for this. Way to start us off. All right, so spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our red Protoss player, Ember, who is from Team Metagaming, formerly Mechanics Gamers, and he's going up against Masa from Team Nightmares, better known as NMX, and the current Season 1 champs. So they are the reigning champions. They're going to see if they can go for a second win of the ISTL, but you know, we have more players and more teams this season. We've upped the prize pool a lot, so this is a lot of real money on the line. It's $180 for first place. You know, the other thing that we're throwing out here is we also have an MVP award, which is $50 to an individual player who is the best player in the series. So maybe they do something like you know, Impulses to See, where they come back from a crazy loss or potential and then win the series, things like that. And that's me from the Legends of Elveron, so really awesome there. So lots of real money on the line. It's really exciting to see this type of notoriety and everything.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the amount of success that we've already like been able to achieve with the ISTL going from Season 1 to Season 2. We have a lot of really awesome sponsors, guys, so we'll be giving them shout-outs as the games goes on. But one thing I wanted to point out real quick is that this is going to be a Terran versus Protoss on the map Cloud Kingdom. Cloud Kingdom, as you all know, was just revealed to have that really nasty 70% win rate for Protoss on the ladder. So Emperor does have that working in his favor, but he is going up against a very scary GM from Team Nightmares in the very first round. And do you think that he might feel a little nervous knowing just how scary of a Team Nightmares actually is?
Yeah, I can't see how you wouldn't feel nervous. You know, maybe if he doesn't know Moss's reputation, I didn't happen to look at his profile. We can only hope for his sake.
I actually hope that he's not playing nervous, Pyronia. Like, one of the things is, like, even if you're going up against a player who's, like, higher ranked than you or just, like, statistically better than you, like, one of the things you always need, especially if you're going to be up in this matchup specifically, is confidence. You need to be, like, confident in your ability to control your troops, confident in your timings. If you hesitate too much, well, I mean, gamers learn this at a young age. If you hesitate too much, you just get killed. So I'm hoping that Ember isn't too flustered by the fact that he's going up against such a high-rated player.
Yeah, I hope so too. You know, and if nothing else, this is great experience. You know, it's someone who he may or may not have the opportunity to play all that much. So, you know, hey, look at this as a learning tool, if nothing else. And looks like as far as the game actually goes itself, we do have a command center here. So gasless expand, nothing too exciting there. I think this is what we've seen quite a few matchups, or, you know, quite a few times this particular matchup on this map.
Yeah, we do have that low ground command center first, or command center for the gases expand build coming from Masa. But for Ember, we do have 2 gases already down with no nexus in sight. So it looks like Ember is actually going to be planning something a little aggressive, and there it is. It is going to be a Twilight Council. But unfortunately for Ember, we do have that SCV already in the base, already in his base for Masa. He has kind of tugged it away over there in the corner. So Masa could definitely use it in just a little while to scout that Twilight Council. And because Ember is actually banking so much gas, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is going to be a Dark Templar rush.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, especially based on the timing when he took his gas.
There it goes.
Oh, there it goes. So
the SCV is scouting in the base. He does see that Twilight Council. Is Ember actually going to cancel that Twilight Council, or is he going to go for something different? You can use the Twilight Council for something other than a Dark Templar build. Obviously, he can go for Blink, he can go for Charge, but no, he's going to stick with that Dark Shrine. So he is going to be going for that Dark Shrine. We already have an Engineering Bay going down for Masa, so he's very well aware of the fact that Dark Templar are a definite possibility. So I don't actually think that Ember's Rush is going to do all that much damage, but he can, of course, use it to gain a lot of map control, because Terran's going to have a very difficult time moving out on the map without that Raven.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like, you know, Ember might be planning for that. So, you know, he knows that it was scouted. He went ahead and did it anyways. And, you know, I mean, Dark Templars are still just great units. They're really high DPS, especially against unupgraded Marines. So, you know, he can just use those for some map control, like you said, and just sort of expand off of that. DT expand is a pretty solid way to go. So it might not have been like, maybe he was thinking he'd go for a quick kill, but, you know, Masa read it correctly. So I think it's a good idea for him not to try and do that.
The one thing about it, though, is that, like, even though Masa did scout the fact that Ember was going for that Dark Templar build, Ember definitely knows that Masa's already going to be ready for this. So he's not going to be taken by surprise. He's not the kind of player who's just going to, like, make Dark Templar and be like, oh, you already have a turret up, well, I guess I'm screwed. No, Ember definitely has a follow-up plan for this at some point. He might use, like, he might go for, like, an early Archon build or something like that. Like, I saw that in Protoss vs. Protoss not very long ago.
Yeah, so it looks like Masa is opting to go for heavy Marauders, which is nice. You know, a lot of times you just see mass Marines, so this is fun. And we do have some DTs poking around here at the front. However, there's a turret there in the way, so they're not going to be terribly effective, but...
Yeah, it looks like Ember is actually trying to get these Dark Templar to go around the turret and get into the main base somehow, but the building placement for Masa is actually very, very good, and those Marauders are actually still in range of that turret. That turret can actually see all over that natural expansion, so these Dark Templar don't really have very much space to maneuver. So at this point, Ember is actually doing what I was afraid that he was, like, not going to do. He actually is, like, relying very heavily on this Dark Templar build doing damage, even though Masa clearly scouted it at the beginning. So I'm worried about Ember at this point. He is going for a Templar Archives to follow this up, and he is researching Charge, but the gas and the income for Masa is just so much better, and he is, of course, ahead in his tech. He already has Stim. He is getting down that starport, so he's going to be able to transition into medevacs pretty soon, and I think he's in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah, you know, he already has +1 attack, too, so, you know, he's in a very good position. You know, I'm definitely a little bit nervous for Ember because at home, you know, he's doing this a lot of production building, and he really only has the 1 sentry.
And here's the other thing, too. Masa, through a series of really well-placed scans and that turret, was able to kill all 3 Dark Templars. So that is a very heavy investment, both minerals and gas-wise, for Ember. That is 375 gas that he cannot use for his tech. Even though he is going for that Storm build right now, it is going to be a lot later than it would have been had he just gone straight for it. So he doesn't have very many units in his base right now to stop this Marauder stim push. There are no units in Ember's base to hold this back. Those gateways are just now getting powered up. He is getting some zealots out. Those zealots do have charge, but he's going to lose that nexus. So Ember is in some trouble right now. Monsters is getting further and further ahead of him. We do have a few High Templar that are being warped in just right now, so they are going to be able to use, be able to become an Archon. He does not have energy for Storm yet. Storm isn't even completed yet, and these Marines and Marauders are doing a ton of damage to Ember's base. We have a Dark Templar that got warped in, but Scan is going to pick it off, and I don't know. This looks like a very early exit for Ember. All of those warp gates are being unpowered. Really, really good timing by Masa in our first game of this clan war.
Yeah, I mean, he read the situation 100% correctly. You know, I wouldn't have expected him to misread it. I'm a little bit surprised that Ember went for something, you know, maybe I think he must have just felt that he was so outclassed that he had to go for something risky like that, and, you know, rather than playing a straight-up macro game. So that was a little unfortunate. I think that he didn't necessarily put his best foot forward, and he probably underestimated himself, and I think that was unfortunate. You know, and also part of the mentality here in the clan war, you know, even if you're going up against someone who you don't think you can win, you want to try and fatigue them as much as you can. The longer you can draw this out and the longer you can keep Masa having to play, the more chances your team has of overcoming him if he's just physically exhausted. So I'm surprised that he went for something so quick. I mean, that was an 11-minute game, so it didn't fatigue him at all.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, if you are trying to wear down one of the better players on your opposing team, you really want to drag it out as long as you can. And Protoss are one of those races where if they want to drag out a game, man, they can definitely drag out a game like anytime they want. So I am a little. I am questioning Ember's decision to go for that heavy Dark Templar investment. It's not so much that he went for the Dark Templar shrine after he had it scouted. That's not really what I'm so concerned about so much as his willingness to have them out on the map aggressively, even though he knew his opponent already had turrets up.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think he could have just used them for map control and gone away from that and gone into more of econing and getting his tech up. But you know, he chose to go completely the opposite. He got his expansion up and then started getting tons of production facilities. And so when that attack came, he had a sentry at his base and then 3 zealots off on a proxy pylon.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just too late in the game for that.
Especially, too, since he knew that the army was moving out on the map. It's not like he didn't know that that attack was coming. Those Marines and Marauders picked off those Dark Templar in the middle. He knew exactly what his opponent had. So it's so confusing to me that that attack did so much damage when Ember really had all the information he really needed to know that that was coming and to know what the strength of it was. But even then, I mean, he was pretty behind in economy. That opening going for that Dark Templar play and getting it shut down so easily really puts you behind economically to your Terran opponent going for that very early gasless expanse. So just overall, a very well played game by Masa. He really outplayed his opponent there, and now I'm a little worried for metagaming. Nightmares is not one of those teams that you want to be down 1-0 in such a dominating fashion against. Yeah. This isn't their only GM, folks. Like we said earlier, they have plenty of GMs and plenty of players that are capable of knocking out players from metagaming. So I'm wondering if metagaming is going to be able to take the next game and who they are going to send out.
I don't know. I think that's a really good question. I think it's a tough situation, you know. They don't have as strong of a lineup, and Moss is just the first of NMX's many GMs, so it's a little bit of a tough position. But let's take this moment of, you know, a little bit to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. So I'm going to link our MVP sponsors, who is the Legends of Elveron. So if you guys are interested in doing some sort of more text-based MMO style play, then you guys need to hit this site up. It's a lot of fun, it sounds like. Really interesting. So if you like the fantasy type genre, definitely a good route to go. Let's see, who else should we give kudos and props to?
Well, we also have Maxed Out Studios. They are helping us with a lot of the graphics for the ISTL, and as you guys can see, I was actually checking out the stream, not on Monday, but on Monday, excuse me, because obviously when we were casting it on Sunday, I wasn't actually able to watch the stream, but the graphics are really good. Like, and all the stuff that Maxed Out Studios has done for the ISTL is really high quality. So they are a really good studio. So hit up Max at maxedoutstudio.com for any sort of graphic design needs that you might have. And our last shout out is going to go to our artist. The music that you are listening to like in between our matches is by SMK, or Skills Make Kills, and we have a statement from him. Actually, he says, hi, I am a huge fan of StarCraft 2 and I play it myself. It would be an honor for you to use my music on your team league event. Use any song you want. You can find my music on his YouTube channel, so look up Skills Make Kills. It's actually a pretty cool it's a pretty cool electronic music genre. It's kind of like a hybrid between a few different types of music, so it's really cool. Check it out, guys. I actually like his music a lot myself.
Yeah, and then as far as other things you need to do, you need to be a sweetheart for us and go to the top left-hand side of the screen right here and click follow on the stream. If you like what we do here at the ISTL, make sure, oh wait, other way, this way. You need to go and click follow. That way, whenever we go live, you know exactly when we are and what we're doing. And that way you can keep up to date on everything, and we would love your support here at the ISTL. So hopefully we'll be jumping into another game soon for you guys. If there's any questions you have about the players too, feel free to hit us up in chat. We'll do our best to answer questions and interact with you guys as well. I do poke my head in and chat quite a bit, so definitely, you know, feel free to interact with us. We always love active fans as well.
For sure. So while we're waiting for our next player from Team Metagaming, I think we're going to go to a quick commercial break. So stick with us, guys. We'll be back in just a little bit with more action from the Indie StarCraft Team League. Once again, I am Vindicare, and with me is Pyronia. We will be back in just a little while with more Team League action. This is the ISTL.
pull this off. The Nexus is probably going to be going down that one Colossi, and there's a ridiculously lagging GG!
Nice. Down to the big one. And those Vikings are going to focus down. All those Colossi are probably going to go down.
No, he doesn't even have Blink yet.
And we are back. Thank you so much. And we are just in time because we just got invited to the next game. So it's me, Masa. And looks like they're putting in Reap, I think.
Yeah, Reap was actually the Zerg player that I got to see play on this map on Sunday against, I think it was Team Flow Gaming. And unfortunately, he lost that matchup, but he actually demonstrated a really high level of Zerg versus Protoss against his opponent. I'm trying to remember who that was. I think that was one of many from Team Flow Gaming. So really good Zerg player. I'm happy with this decision to send out a Zerg player against Masa, whose TVP obviously looks really, really scary. And is going to be on GSL Metropolis. And I actually love this map, Pyronia. This is an awesome map.
Yeah, I do too. It's got a lot of terrain differences. I think it's a just really interesting looking map. You know, so I definitely like it. I think it's funny when people get it confused with Metalopolis. So they are different maps, Metropolis, Metalopolis. But yeah, no, I actually really like the map. It's not played that much, which I think is too bad. I think it's just a really interesting map, and I really like it. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. Looks like you have host right now.
Yeah, I'm just checking to see if both players are ready. So it looks like both players are ready. We're going to be getting into this game in just a moment. Once again, if you are just joining us, this is a clan war between teams NMX, Nightmares, and Team Metagaming. This is the Indie StarCraft Team League, and we are now loading up with the really cool GSL Metropolis loading screen. I love this loading screen that they have for this map.
I think this one and Daybreak are my favorite loading screens.
Yeah, Daybreak is pretty much everything about Daybreak is awesome. Like, I'm a Daybreak fanboy in addition to being a fanboy of a lot of other different things that Blizzard does. Even though Blizzard didn't make Daybreak, so that's kind of a contradictory statement, but whatever.
And well, they didn't make this one either, right?
No, they didn't. This is by GSL.
All right, so spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our blue Terran from Team NMX. He is Masa, currently ranked, 17 GM, I think? And he won a very solid, quick 11-minute game against the first player from our opposing team, which is Metagaming, and they are putting up our red Zerg here, Reap. So here we go. You know, Masa had a nice little break there. Break was almost as long as the last game, so he's going to be refreshed. Maybe went and slammed some, I don't know, Red Bull, something like that, and he is ready to probably kill it. So hopefully Reap can, you know, break his winning streak here.
Yep, this is obviously going to be a Terran versus Zerg, so it's not the same matchup that Masa played in the previous game, and I really do like this map for Zerg in this particular matchup.
Yeah,
There's a lot of bases for them to take, and in these cross spots, this map is actually enormous. There's a lot of different terrain features, a lot of like areas to catch Terran armies off guard. The one thing about it, though, is that the bases are relatively spread out. It's not as easy to defend against draw play as a map like Tal'Darim Altar or Entombed Valleys. So if Masa has really good draw play, he can clearly overcome the map's sheer size, which in general tends to favor Zerg in the matchup a little bit. And it actually looks like we are going to have a really early command center from Masa. This is so greedy. Masa, you greedy Terran. We have a command center first coming down from Masa. I don't like this at all, but clearly it looks like he might get away with this on this map. But I don't know. Like when I'm playing Zerg, in case you guys don't know, I am a random player myself. When I see this sort of shenanigans out of Terrans, oh, I punish them for it. I go all July Zerg on them, and so I'm hoping right now that. I try not to take sides in these matches very much, but in this case I have to make an exception. I really want Reap to punish this command center first build. I don't like it when Terrans do this. I think it is very un-Terran-like, so I am hoping that Reap is going to punish this this early command center, but first he has to scout it, which he has not.
Well, and I think he just feels really confident here, so he feels like he can go command center on the low ground first. And so I think that that shows his level of confidence going into this game. And, you know, I would hope that, you know, Reap could do something about that. But, yeah, he's not sending any sort of scouting information, so he's just sort of focusing on getting his own expansion up, which I think is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. And I don't actually know if... I really don't think that even on the GSL version of this map, you have forced cross-spawn position. I don't think that's actually the case. So it's really interesting to me why Reap would choose not to scout in this matchup. I mean, the one matchup you really want to always scout against is if you're playing Zerg versus Terran. I mean, I know, right? Like, Terran is capable of doing so many ridiculous things to you as a Zerg player in this matchup. Like, you would think that the first thing on Reap's mind would be scouting, but this lack of scouting information that he is going to have in the early game, it's going to come back to bite him. We do have a factory coming up as well as that reactor on that barracks, but this is after a command center first build that went completely unpunished, so Masa is in a really good spot here. His economy is going to be up really, really good, and these Hellions are going to allow him to obtain a lot of map control on this very wide open map.
Yeah, it does look like Reap is preparing for the Hellions, so he is assuming that they're coming. So he's getting his queens out here. You know, the thing is he does have to be very careful about a run-by because it does take a lot of extra creep tumors to connect the two bases on this map in particular, because it's a little bit longer distance to get from the main to the natural. So, you know, he does have to sort of start preparing for that. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see an Evo chamber or something go down as well. Oh my gosh, look at this. When will the greed end, Vindicare?
This Masa is Wall Street greedy right now. He is definitely the Michael Douglas Terran. He definitely thinks greed is good. Masa with the early third command center, and actually I think he is going to get away with this. We don't have a Roach Warren or any sort of layer timing coming down for Reap. He is taking a bunch of gas, so it looks like he wants to start up his macro, go for that mid game, and we have these Hellions out on the map, and these Hellions are obviously going to be really good against any sort of Zergling heavy counterattack that Reap could do. We do have a third hatchery going down for Reap, this is a macro hatch, which is a little bit interesting, but I really don't know what he can do at this point to really punish this early third that Reap is going for, or that Masa is going for, excuse me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if he goes Muta, you know, at this point the third is sort of exposed out here, and he really only has Hellions out on the map. You know, and it doesn't look like we're really seeing that much bios. I mean, that could be an option, but that's a ways out yet. I mean, we don't even see a layer.
Yeah, so. we have no layer timing coming up from Reap. It just started, so this is a 7-minute layer timing. We do have a double evolution chamber going down, so it does look like Reap is just playing this out very, very standard. But Masa is not playing this standard at all. He is being really, really greedy. His economy is going to explode in just a few minutes, and these Hellions are going to make it very, very difficult for him to take his own third base. So I really like the position that Masa is in right now. I think he's going to get away with this very early greed that he is going for, and I don't know, man. Like, Reap, you got to pull something, bro. You got to figure something out right here. You are up against the ropes, economically speaking.
Yep, and we do have Cloak Banshees on the way, so, and some tanks and infantry. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe two-pronged attack with some things going in the front and then Banshees going in around the back.
Definitely. At this point, Masa is really capable of doing almost anything that he wants.
Right.
He's going to be able to throw down a lot of gas and go for a lot of tech if he wants to, but he does have those two engineering bays going down, so it does look like he is going to be going for a standard marine tank unit composition on this matchup. But I mean, the real story right now is just the economy that Masa has. He's going to be catching up to his Zerg opponent in harvesters in just a little while. We have at this point 51 drones to 44 SCVs, and we finally have an infestation pick going down for Reap, as well as a huge Zergling run by to this third base, which might be able to get a few SCV kills, but this orbital can just definitely lift off if he wants to.
Yep, and looks like we have a little supply depot wall over here. The Zerglings were hitting at it a little bit. I think they would have been better off trying to do more damage over here to the third, but looks like Masa's just going to lift off, bring it back until he knows he's safe. Nice round on these Hellions out.
Just catch the Hellions. though. So small little victory for Reap. He did deny the third, the orbital from being able to mine at that third base location, but that's still a third orbital, so that is definitely a third mule still. So not that big of a deal for Masa at this point. He still definitely has a good economy right now, and it looks like Reap is going to be going straight for that Mutalisk, or that Zergling Infestor, excuse me, Stefano style composition on this map. It is a pretty good, solid composition, and once again, against the style, oh, excuse me, before I get into that, we have a Zergling by at the natural expansion, but it does look like he's going to be repelled by Masa with those Marines and those siege tanks. So what I was about to start in, with Pyronia was this Zergling Infestor unit composition is a really solid, straight-up composition against Terran. The one real way that you can beat it is by abusing medevacs and drop play, and this is one of the things that plays in very well on this map because the expansions, like I said earlier, are so spread out. And whoa, that is a hive already going up. So Reap is going straight for that hive tech. It doesn't look like he wants to mess around at all in the mid game with Matza. He wants to go straight for those brood lords, or maybe even an ultralisk, because he does already have those. Possibly ultralisk, but definitely going for some hive tech units at, that's an 11-minute lair. That is a really quick lair.
It's a fast lair.
Or not a lair, excuse me, hive.
Yeah,
normally,
and it wouldn't be a bad idea for him to be going ultralisks, just because he is already working on his melee and ground upgrades. So, you know, they'll be pretty powerful there. Ooh, nice catch on that Banshee with the fungal there.
Yeah, that Banshee doesn't look... Oh, but she doesn't have enough energy for a second fungal, so that Banshee, even though he got fungled, is going to be able to get away. So small little victory for Masa there. He's getting a full scout of what Reap is up to. And... Alright, at this point, both players are playing a little passively with each other, but Masa is still just getting up a ridiculous economy, and he's throwing down a lot of additional barracks, so that will allow him to start spamming Marines all over the map, get that drop play going that he wants so badly. And the question I have for Reap right now is, are you going to be able to get those hive-tech units out before Masa's first initial attack? Because Masa's attack is going to be coming in just a few minutes.
Yep, and we do have this drop over here on the left-hand side of Reap's base, and he doesn't have anything over there to answer for this drop.
So we have Masa's Marines in the main base here with 2 additional medevacs. That is a lot of medevacs for these Marines. These Marines do have +1/+1, so they are very good at killing Zerglings. Good positioning by those Marines, hugging in between both of those hatcheries.
Yeah.
Zerglings have absolutely no surface area to attack these Marines on, and Reap is just not trading efficiently here at all, but he is getting a couple medevac kills, which is what he needs at this point in the game. But still, all of those Zerglings just went down for Reap. Masa's 2 medevac drops, that is 16 Marines taking down more than double their number in Zerglings, and now he's getting just a ton of drone kills, so nothing is going right for Reap in this matchup right now. He's losing all the drones at his main base.
Why weren't the infestors there? Did he think that he could defend it without them? I guess. I mean,
infestors are down at his third base, nowhere near these Marines. These Marines are finally going to get cleaned up, but that was just a ridiculous trade for Masa. The units lost tab really tells the whole story. Reap has lost 117 units already in this matchup. 32 workers have been killed. Just overall a huge amount of damage done by Masa in that attack, and honestly, it is just absolutely disgusting as a random player to see Marines kill that many drones with just 2 medevacs worth. This is just poor preparation by Reap against that drop play right now.
Yep, and we do have a significant force coming across the map here for Masa. Lots of Marines, 1-1, 2-2 is about 75% done. Tanks, things like that. We do have an Ultralisk Cavern that just finished, so we've got our first 3 Ultralisks on the way, but I don't know that they're going to be there fast enough. Maybe.
No, the army for Reap right now is just tiny. He is getting out a few ultralists already, but his opponent has a good siege chain count. He has a lot of production back home, so even if this army does get stopped, he's just going to be able to just put on non-stop pressure right now. But that early 3-base economy for Masa just is giving him a huge amount of production. He is already up at 184 supply to the 141 of Reap. Reap is now getting those first few ultralists out. He's willing to sacrifice his 4th base, but he really can't afford to lose his 3rd right now.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know that Masa knows about...
those ultralists actually were spawning at that 4th hatchery, so they were already completely out of position. 2 ultralists do go down early. A handful of Marines do get picked off, but he lost that 3rd hatchery, lost 2 ultralists already, as well as an overlord somewhere in the mix. So the supply advantage for Masa is actually huge, and here comes the 2nd wave of reinforcements. I don't know if Reap can actually stop this army. That is just a really scary, high supply Terran army that already has +2/+2 and Marauders in the mix.
Yeah, and his Marines are just getting, or I mean, his Ultralisks are getting torn down pretty quickly here because a lot of them are spawning from all different places, so they're just getting caught before they're with the army. I feel like he needed more fungals as well. I think he stopped building infestors a little too soon.
Well, he doesn't really have the gas, Pyronia. I mean,
Yeah, well.
his third base was so much later than his opponents, and he's been like behind in gas income for pretty much the entirety of this game. But he isn't out of the woods just yet. Reap is definitely in a bad spot, but this game is definitely not over. Masa is taking that fourth base, and he's turning that into a planetary fortress, and his army is in Reap's base right now. They are already on the creep. We have a pretty good sized supply advantage for Masa at the moment, but it looks like he is going to wait for that third wave of reinforcements. And this is just a massive Terran army. 47 Marines, 10 Marauders, 9 siege tanks, and 4 medevacs. That is just a huge
Well,
Terran
and really, if you look at the income, you know, we're at almost 3,000 mineral income, 700 to 800 gas income compared to 15 to 16 and 400. So, I mean, just the income alone is enough to lose him the game here, let alone this nice contain and pressure from Masa.
Yeah, beautiful siege tank spread. Good splitting by those Marines, and here comes the engagement. These Ultras are managing to crush through a majority of those siege tanks. That is a good number of Ultras, but all of the Zerglings do go down, so now it is just Ultras versus the remainder of this Terran army, and it does look like Reap will be able to actually put an end to this early contain by Masa, but he lost a lot in the process. The supply is still at 154 to 118. Masa just has so much production right now. Here comes another army coming up the field, and really the only thing that Reap is really able to afford is Zerglings right now. He doesn't have a lot of gas income. He's almost mined out at his main base actually, and his worker count is just pretty low. He's only at 67 drones, and obviously that magic number is 70. So he's just in a really bad spot economically. This Zergling run by at the fourth is not going to do anything. There is of course that planetary fortress already in position, and this army for Masa is moving up into position, clearing out a few creep tumors. And what is Reap going to do about this army? His Ultralists are out of position down at the middle of the map. He's moving them back over, but they are so out of position. He is definitely going to lose that third hatchery as well as a ton of drones. This is just so bad for Reap.
Oh no, and he can't afford to lose any more drones here. You know, and he'd forgotten to put drones back on the gas here, so that's part of why his income was so low. And these, you know, Ultralists here pretty much dying before they can even get in and take any shots practically.
These Ultralists are going to go down. I think when these Ultralists go down, it's going to force a GG out of Reap. He just cannot contend with the insane economy and production that our Michael Douglas Terran has right now. This is just
Who has an huge base over here? He doesn't even need it. He'll just take it for the heck of it.
He has 110 supply lead. He has another army just chilling at his base, but it looks like this Marine Marauder army, and he's even going to lift, so those units are going to be able to get away, and just a really bad spot for Reap.
Oh, and they're going to go over here and get all of these poor little drones. Oh, maybe not.
Good positioning behind the mineral line for those Marines and Marauders. They're going to take down a ton of Zerglings in the process.
No, and the funny thing here is, I think Masa hasn't ever found this extra base of Reaps, but he hasn't been utilizing it at all. He hasn't been getting drones. And then we have our first couple battle cruisers, you know, and Ling Ultra, so actually it's been doing pretty decently well here, but it's not going to do well against battle cruisers.
I think at this point Masa just feels so comfortably ahead of his opponent that he's just like, oh, I'm just going to make battle cruisers.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well at this point, you know, make battle cruisers, get some, like, Ravens with seeker missiles, you know, why not?
I mean, he has absolute control of the market right now. Masa is just absolutely dominant right now at this point in the game. Reap's economy is absolutely in shambles. He has 88 supply and 48 workers. He is mined out of his natural and his bane, and he has 4 medevacs coming into his main base right now, filled with Marines and Marauders. That is 3-3 bio, ladies and gentlemen. 3-3 bio is capable of leveling the base faster than a dozen bulldozers. There is just really not much that Reap can do against this drop. There are only 2 Ultralists in his army. Those Ultralists are not going to be enough on their own to take care of this drop by Masa. And we have another army with battle cruisers mixed in, moving across the right-hand side of the map. I think when this army gets the field, I think that will definitely force Reap out of the game. But you know what? I'm starting to think a little bit like what you were saying earlier, Pyronia, about just wearing Masa down. There is no reason for Reap to still be in this game. He is just so far behind. I think he is just trying to fatigue Masa, but there is the GG. Well played by Masa. Just a really, really well played game of Terran versus Zerg on the map Metropolis, and that was just a beauty to behold.
Yeah, I mean, Reap just needed to have known earlier how greedy Masa was being and abused that. Masa clearly went in and was very, very confident there and felt that he could take that, command center on the low ground first and then a very early third. And, had Reap done things a little bit differently and known what his opponent was doing, he could have abused that, but he didn't. He didn't scout until very late. So at that point, any sort of abuse was too late, so that was unfortunate. So that does put NMX up 2-0. We'll have to see who is going to be put out for MG next. I'm going to go take a peek at their roster, see who else they have up. They actually have a pretty, actually maybe we don't have their roster of players. Yeah, actually I don't have an individual roster, so I just have like team stuff.
Well, while Pyronia is getting all of that figured out, guys, just a quick reminder, follow Team Impulse on Twitch if you like what you are seeing right now on the ISTL. I know that those last 2 games have been pretty one-sided, but this is a really good tournament to check out for semi-professional esports. And actually, too, just a quick reminder, there is actually a little contest going on right now for the ISTL. If you follow Team Impulse Esports on Facebook or follow them on Twitter. So that's Impulse Esports. Follow them on Twitter and like them on Facebook. They will be giving an hour of free coaching by the Team Impulse players to at least one person from each list. So if you would like to be a part of that, or if you would like to have a chance to get an hour of free coaching by a Grandmaster player, please like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. And what do you have for us, Pyronia? Do you have their rosters? What do you think they are going to be sending out next against Masa?
Well, it looks like we've already seen Ember play. So they put out Ember last time. They also put out, let's see here. They also put out Reap as well. So it looks like Dirty Zenith is also on their roster, so that's a possibility. Looks like that's another Zerg, though, so that could be maybe not a great idea.
They actually closed with Dirty Zenith when they played against Flow Gaming, and their roster is actually starting to look strikingly similar to the one that they fielded against Team Flow Gaming. I wonder if they just have a set rotation that they use, like the same.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at their. I think it's against. Is this Ascension? SCA.
Yeah, that's StarCraft Ascension.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at, and yeah, it looks like Ember.
Oh, were they against the StarCraft Ascension? Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, they played against StarCraft Ascension. When was that? Was that on Monday or was that on Sunday?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't watch it, so. I
may have totally goofed that. I think that when I was talking about Flow Gaming that they were up against, I think I was actually talking about StarCraft Ascension. So,
oh yeah, looks like it was on Sunday.
Yeah, so my bad. It turns out that that game that I casted at theirs was not against Flow Gaming. That was against StarCraft Ascension. I've been casting so many games for the ISTL lately, they're starting to blend together. I'm starting to understand a little bit about like what Takes Us and Our Toes always say when they're saying that like their casting games always blend together. You guys cast a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. So also I'd like to take the opportunity to give a big shout out to our wonderful admins today. They are Joker and Marine from Team Impulse. We couldn't do this out without you guys. We love you, and much love to Quaffle, who also admins for us. See, big shout out to Buddha, who's one of our other casters here at the ISTL. He put together a bunch of awesome, amazing things on the team. So I have all of these details about what these players have done and how they've opened in the past. So really, really great information. So much appreciation to Marine, Joker, Quaffle, and Buddha.
Yeah, we definitely cannot forget about Buddha. That guy is such a character.
On all of them, I swear.
Yeah. Well, while we have the moment real quick, I just want to remind everybody that casting for you today for this round is Vindicare and Pyronia. If you like my casting or if you have feedback on how I can get better, please let me know. Follow me on Twitter. I am at KT Vindicare. I also have my own solo stream on Twitch with that same ID, as well as a channel on YouTube. So if you like my casting or if you have feedback for me, let me know. I am available all over the internet. And how can they find you, Pyronia?
You guys can Google me. Basically anything that's Pyronia and StarCraft related is me as well. So I'm on Twitter, I'm on Twitch. Sometime I'll probably get a YouTube up. I have one, I just haven't And actually, Pyronia YouTube was taken. I don't know who it is. I've had this handle for like, I don't know, 12 years now. So go figure. But yeah, so I do a lot of casting here for the ISTL. I love to play, so you can always hit me up for team games.
My tag is actually pretty popular online, Vindicare. So that's when I started adding in the KT in front of it, and I sometimes somebody asked me before, like, why KT? Like, my line on StarCraft is actually just Vindicare. So where does the KT come from? That's actually from my my WoW realm, actually, my home realm that I've been on since 2004. So that's that's as big of a nerd as I am. I've been playing that game.
Right?
Yeah, consistently since 2004. I am an old school Kel'Thuzadder, so shout out to any of my old school Kel'Thuzad friends that are watching this stream right now. You guys are awesome. It is the most amazing realm ever, even though now it's just absolutely just crowded with people.
I was on Doomhammer since day one, so.
Doomhammer is another good realm. Like, at this point, I have mad respect for anybody who played on any of the original launch realms. If your realm has a nickname for how often it was down back in the day, well, then you know you're an old school
Downhammer. Yeah, pretty much.
Downhammer, Illit down, Magthera down. If your realm has a nickname for how often it was down, then you know that you played WoW back in the day. It's one of those things like. Since we have a little bit of free time, I just want to rant about something for a minute here. Do you play Diablo 3 at all, Pyronia?
I have been playing. I've actually been playing since beta. I was casting a bunch of Diablo 3, and then I've been playing.
Okay. Oh, well, you have like all those like Air 37 jokes that are on the internet right now. Like all this like, mad like hate towards like Diablo 3 because of all the technical difficulties that they've been going through. And the one thing that always bugs me is they're like, "Oh, this is the first game I've ever played that's done this." And I'm like, "No, man. Like, if you ever played World of Warcraft when it first came out, that had the worst technical difficulties, realm maintenance constantly. It was the worst, like, game I've ever played when I first started in terms of, like, constant downtime, constant maintenance, like, constant lag, server crashes, like, all sorts of, like, ridiculous things. But most WoW players just completely forgot about that. They, like, shoved that into, like, a dark corner of, like, their memories.
I know, right?
So I'm just I'm just thinking about it, and it's like, it's like, oh, this will just pass. Like Diablo 3 is having some like maintenance problems right now, but it'll pass. It's a good game.
Well, that's what everyone's like. Oh, I'm gonna take launch day off and things like that. And I was just sitting here thinking, like, why? The servers
don't do that.
Yeah, right.
Don't do that. The servers are never up on launch day. They are never up on patch day. Just don't ever expect that. Like. Tuesdays are just like, do something else on Tuesday, okay? Like, there's maintenance on WoW, there's maintenance on StarCraft. You're a Blizzard fan for long enough, like you play their games for long enough. You just learn to orchestrate your schedule around like when you know they're gonna have maintenance. So
yeah.
Little pro tip from a longtime Blizzard fan. I have been playing Blizzard games since Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness. So that's how big of a nerd I am and how long I've been playing Blizzard games. So
I've been playing since Diablo 1.
Oh, Diablo 1. That's also a pretty old school game. Did you ever dupe your gold? Did you ever dupe your items? Did you ever figure out how to do that?
I started playing at a very young age, and it was sort of when girls didn't play computer games, and so I never actually played like on the internet. And I think I don't even, I think I killed, I know I killed Diablo, but I think I didn't even realize that there was like a game after you killed him once. Because I was like, well, I never got to max level, and I think it didn't even dawn on me that there was a max level, so I was sort of naive, but I did kill Diablo in Diablo 1, so.
Yeah, I've got so many stories about how much of a noob I was to a lot of different games when I first started playing them. But that's a story for another time. I actually am going to start a new segment on my YouTube channel. Just give me like a quick shout out. I have a new segment coming up. I should be starting it on probably tomorrow. It's called Nostalgia Bomb. If that sounds interesting If that sounds interesting to you, check me out on my YouTube channel. It is KT Vindicare. That's my channel name on YouTube. Once again, KT Vindicare is any of my names anywhere on the internet. If you find that name anywhere on the internet, it's me. It's my LOL tag. It's like all the different tags that I use. So I think we are waiting. I think we actually do have the 2 players for our team. It is obviously going to be Masa from Team NMX, and the map choice actually looks like it is going to be Daybreak. So.
Yep, and looks like GSL Daybreak is in our pool. So our map pool is GSL Daybreak, Cloud Kingdom is our starter, GSL Tal'Darim Altar, GSL Calm Before the Storm. A really unique map. Not a lot of people play it, so it sort of throws people off. It's always one of those sort of redhead stepchild of maps. MLG Antigua Shipyard, GSL Metropolis, which we already saw, MLG Entombed Valley, GSL Belshire Beach winter version. We need to get the summer version back in here. It's summer. And MLG Shakura's Plateau. So
I don't know, Tal'Darim, or not Tal'Darim, but Belshire Beach Summer Edition, it just puts me to sleep because it looks so relaxing to actually just hang out on that map.
you know, you just need a hammock. We'll just cast with our Wi-Fi and our
hammocks are amazing.
They
hammocks
are.
Awesome.
I mean, what else?
They are literally like one of the best inventions ever.
Agreed.
Do you guys have like a better invention than the hammock? Put it in chat, because I just don't think there is one that exists. I will argue this point. The hammock is the best invention that has ever been made by man. It is better than fire. It is better than fire. I'm going to put that out there. Fire kills people. When is the last time anybody has ever died out of a hammock? Okay, so
I'm sure someone somewhere has, like, they've had too many beers and like stuck their head through it.
There's probably been a lawsuit about it too. Like somebody's like sued hammock makers because like they fell out of their hammock or something.
On warning.
Coffee is hot, guys. Hammocks, you can fall out of them.
I know. Right?
I'm getting too off tangent right now, Pyrone. You need to keep me in check. You're doing a bad job.
All right, so I think it looks like we're gonna have Legend, who is a top 8 master. So he's currently ranked 2. So it looks like a little bit stronger. Don't know much about him. We didn't see him in the last match, but decent win ratio, 224 to 184. You know, so definitely a pretty serious player. So I think that they've decided that they need to step it up a notch and put in some heavier hitters than who they have been playing. You know, so hopefully this guy can take a game off Masa. We'll have to see. So.
All right, and I have been promoted to admin again. I don't know who keeps doing that to me. I think it's Joker. I'm going to ask if both players are ready before we get into this game. Once again, if you are just joining us, this is a clan war for the Indie StarCraft Team League. It is a clan war between NMX up 2-0 right now over their opponent's Team Metagaming. It looks like we will be getting into this game in just a moment. Masa is ready. It does look like Legend is ready, so I'm going to be starting up the game. So good luck, have fun from both players. This is the Indie StarCraft Team League with Pyronia and Vindicare. We are just loading in right now on Daybreak Ladder Edition.
Yes, we get to see the other... Oh, wait, this is the not pretty background one.
This is not the pretty background one. Take a note, Blizzard. The GSL has awesome loading screens. You can afford to use them.
Exactly. This one just looks like a weird, like, growth on something.
It's like an asteroid or something.
All right, so spawning down here in the bottom right hand corner, we have our red Terran player from Team Metagaming. He is Legend. We will see if he will be the Legend that takes down the mighty Masa from Team NMX, who is our blue Terran up here. So this is going to be our first TVT of the evening. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. I am Pyronia, and with me is Vindicare. We are super excited to be casting the ISTL Season 2 with you. If you're just joining us as well, the thing to note is that NMX are our reigning champions from Season 1, so they are going to be trying to go for a repeat victory. This is their first showing, though, this season, and we do have some amazing teams so far. We've had a lot of all-kills. Impulse did some all-killing. I forget what other team... Who was it? Was it Infused also, right?
Yeah,
I believe so.
No, Infused is actually a 4-1, I think. It was a 4-1 or a 4-2. The other all kill that we had was actually Impulse versus Impressive Play. That was by right, Impulse's own Deceive. We had I don't actually know if the matchup on Monday actually was an all kill either. I don't think it was. I think it went a little bit longer than that.
It was I think it ended up 4-2. It should have been 4-1, but one of the guys decided to randomly race change from Protoss to Zerg, and he didn't know his timings, and it was a little bit of a snarf. Well, okay, not even a little bit. Yeah, snarf.
Snarf.
Do you watch the GSL, or have you been watching the GSL since its inception?
I have been watching the GSL since, I think it was... Actually, since Marine King first came on board. That's when I first got into the GSL. Like, a quick background story for the GSL. One day, my brother, like, I was playing like some game. I think it was actually StarCraft, and my brother was like, "Oh my God, you need to come see this! Like, this guy just split his his Marines up against Banelings. It was awesome. It was awesome. He couldn't even like really articulate it all that well because he was so excited. So I sat down and I started watching it, and that's when I first got hooked on the GSL, and I got hooked with. And Marine King to this day is still my favorite player.
Yeah, well, they'd always make all the jokes about snarfing, and that was definitely a snarf. It was snarf-tastic. So he
don't
probably
actually-
won't be
I'm
doing
not-
that again.
You are definitely a more retro GSL watcher than I am, because I actually don't know that reference too
It was
well.
back in the day of like, you know, like Guinea Pig and things like that. Guinea Pig I loved because he was playing as random, and the name is super cute, and guinea pigs are cute. And if you ever go to Peru, they actually eat guinea pigs. They're delicious.
I actually think the reason why he has that name, Pyronia, is because he played random, I think more for the benefit of his team, so that they would have somebody who was always capable of practicing like any race. So they would like practice builds on him because he was a random player.
All right,
That's why they call him the guinea pig.
We do have some things to talk about, though, in the game. We have a factory going right onto this tech lab. Oh, nope. So he's doing actually this build that we saw last Wednesday, where you get the tech lab actually on the barracks, and then you lift off the barracks so that as soon as you can build your starport, it can go right onto the tech lab, so you don't waste any time lifting it off. So he's doing that. He's going to be getting out some pretty fast Banshees, most likely. And instead we have a fast expansion for Legend here.
Yeah, this is not a. I don't think this is a gasless expand build at all. This is actually just a. This is actually an interesting build by Legend. He is going for that early command center, but he doesn't have any sort of like way to spend that gas that he is stockpiling just yet. So I think he is going to be throwing down a factory just a bit. There it is. But I'm wondering what he's going to be doing with both gases out.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I mean, presumably he knows something. We don't see Cloak yet for Masa. I'm assuming we're not going to see him Cloak. He's probably just me of using that early Banshee. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what Legend is doing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like we're not going to be seeing Cloak from Masa. You need 2 gases in order to do that build. So this is just a 1 gas regular Banshee build. I am actually wondering where that first Banshee is. I thought he already had produced it. There is, no, that first Banshee is just now finishing. Good scan from Legend, does see exactly what Masa is up to. Although he's only now scouting the fact that Masa does have those 2 gases down on the field. So Legend could actually think that this is going to be a Cloak Banshee opening.
He could, you know, and then I like that move by Masa there. He is moving the tech labs and rearranging his buildings. But Legend is pretty ready for this Banshee. He did preemptively bring some Marines over there. So, you know, the Banshee's not going to get too much damage.
But Banshees can micro against Marines all day. They do have that ability to fire that moving shot. So Masa, with good Banshee control, could actually take care of all these Marines, and he is actually getting down a few SCVs. So that Banshee is already up to 5 kills, 6 kills. The magic number with Banshees in Terran versus Terran is, of course, that 6 kill. If you can get 6 kills with the Banshee, then it does, in fact, pay for itself. But instead, Masa manages to get 8 kills, a bunch of Marines, and a few SCVs. 4 SCVs have been killed by Masa, and that Banshee is actually still alive, which is a big deal. So, real good opening by Masa so far. He does have his own command center down. The supply is even, and the worker count is actually even. But Masa is, of course, ahead in tech because he went for that earlier tech path.
All right, and the Banshee does go down there with the 8 kills. So yeah, it definitely paid for itself. And you know, now we have a swap into just more standard M&M play. So we're gonna be seeing more Marines. We're getting Stim on the way. Looks like so we're opting for some Blue Flame Hellions from Legend. So a little bit different choices here. You know, I like it when it's not like mirror choices in mirror matchups. I like when there's variation in what the players are choosing. It just makes it a lot more interesting. So yeah, I'm excited for this.
Well, it does look like we are going to have Bio versus Mech, I think. This could be some like weird, big, all-in timing by Legend off of 2 base, but he is going for that 3rd command center, so it does look like he wants to play it out standard, but you don't normally get Blue Flame unless you're going to be going for a big Mech build. So this looks like it's going to be Mech versus Bio, but oh my, wow, that Viking just missed that dropship.
That Viking does not get MVP.
Do have 8 Marines in here. These Marines don't have any sort of upgrades, but Stim just finished, so beautiful build timing by Masa, getting this drop over to this side of the base just before Stim actually finishes. So these Marines are going to be able to micro all over the base, but there is Blue Flame completed. That Blue Flame Hellion is doing a lot of damage to those Marines, but those Marines are causing a lot of damage of their own. Legend is trying to shoot down that medevac. It doesn't look like the medevac is going to go down, so that drop has been repelled, but I mean, Masa is just getting small little victories here and there. He's up to 10 worker kills already in this matchup. And in mirror matchups especially, worker kills are such a huge deal.
Yeah, you know, and I was like, oh, this is me awesome. Legend's got his Viking in the right place. He's sending it out, and then it just ran on by.
It seems to happen all the time with Terran versus Terran. Here we go. Second group of medevacs is going to be dropping. These Marines are being dropped right on top of the defenses, though, so I don't know how much damage it's actually going to do. Good use of the auto turret, actually, just adding that extra bit of DPS to deny as many of those Marines as possible, deny as much damage, and both medevacs are, in fact, taken down. So good hold by Legend right now, but still, another SCV did go down, so Masa is picking away slightly at his opponent's economy with every single SCV kill that he gets.
Yep, and looks like we're seeing more tech divergence here, so we do have a few Banshees coming out for Legend, and he is getting cloaked for them. So that's going to be a little bit frustrating. We don't have Ravens on the field for Masa, so he's going to have to be saving his scans. With 3 command centers, that shouldn't be a problem. You know, so I'm not too worried about it, but
yeah, it does look like Masa is going to be transitioning into siege tank builds. Also, I like this. He isn't going for pure bio. He's mixing in Marauders with siege tanks, so he is combining mobility with pure stopping power. And from Legend, it does look like he is going for a predominantly mech heavy army.
All right, and here comes the Banshee of Legend. All right, so up in the main of Masa, so already 2 kills, and he does have.
There it is. I totally missed the Banshee. We do have a close Banshee already in Masa's base. We do have an attack down here at the main base of Legend, and they have already been able to breach the bunker defenses of Legend. So both players are taking a lot of damage by the other's attacks. This cloak Banshee, however, does look like it's going to be the difference maker down here at the natural expansion of Legend, but still a lot of SCVs are going down for both players. This cloak Banshee is doing a ton of damage, but a turret is being built at that natural expansion. So it doesn't look like Masa will be able to shut down this Banshee from doing any more additional damage, and finally the army from Masa is going to be taken down by Legend, but both players took a considerable amount of damage there, but it does look like Legend took a lot more. 22 SCVs remaining for Legend, as well as 50 for Masa. So Masa is still ahead in this game right now, especially considering that he has that 3rd command center already in place.
Well, and I feel like Legend's micro is falling behind a little bit. So he had this cloak Banshee that was down at his natural here, and it just stopped attacking the Marines that were down there, and so the Marines just continued to get more SCVs. You know, he was focusing on the Banshee up at Masa's main versus protecting himself, and if he would have just had it on auto attack, it would have been fine. You know, and I feel that if he would have just had that first Viking on auto attack, you know, or a move, it would have been a lot better, but he's just, you know, move commanding it for some reason, paying the price.
Now we do have a Hellion run by here at Masa's 3rd base that was denied. I don't think they really got much in the way of
I think they got
kills.
an SCV.
I think they may have gotten 1 SCV and 1 SCV for...
It wasn't so much a run by as a run in and get killed, but...
It was a run in. It was a run into Marauders. And
sort of like a drive-in, but no movies or popcorn.
Yeah, that does sound somewhat relatable. We do have Legend trying to get his economy back into play. Obviously, as the mech player, your economy is so absolutely vital because you are using so many high gas and high tech units. But Masa is just getting further and further ahead with his economy right now, and he's just starting to be able to match. He's able to, at this point, match the siege tank production of his opponent, and that is a horrible thing as a mech player when your biomech player's opponent is able to actually match your siege tank count. Oh, this is another small victory for Masa. These Marauders and Marines are going to deny those pure Hellions from actually being able to move down to that side of the map. They are, of course, denying that 3rd command center attempt by Legend. So still just a lot of really good positional play by Masa right now in this game.
Yep, and looks like Legend is going to push out and try to take his 3rd here. Siege tanks aren't quite ready.
Good point defense drone.
Nice.
Good point defense drone. That point defense drone really made the difference in that fight. Only Hellions are really taken down. Legend didn't lose any of his siege tanks, which is absolutely vital at this point. He can't afford to replace siege tanks, so good use of the point defense drone, soaking up those Marauder shells. But still, at this point, after Masa lost that initial army, he is going for that 4th base attempt of his own, and he has a pretty considerable army of his own. So Legend really isn't able to actually attack right now. He is in complete defensive mode.
Well, I'm just so worried. I mean, if you look at the income, you know, it's like 700 gas, 2100, 2000 mineral, to 900 and 450. So Masa just has such a commanding lead economically that I don't know how Legend can can really get himself back into the game. I mean, maybe if he turtles, but you know, a lot of times with mech, you really have to make sure that you have just this critical mass of units before you move out. If you move out with only, you know, 75% of the units, you're not going to win. You need to have your full mass of units, and he's just so far off that I don't think he's going to be able to get there before Masa comes for him.
Well, that is the one thing about mech, Pyronia. Mech has that capacity that if you can somehow manage to reach that 200 supply count. Before I get into that, we have another engagement coming down here. Use the point defense, so the point defense is doing a lot for Legend in minimizing the amount of damage those Marauders are actually able to do. And the fact that he has the air superiority right now will allow his CC to move into position, but still, a lot of economic damage is being done to Legend right now. Those Marauders are in range of that command center. He needs to lit that command center. The command center does get lifted. It is on fire, but it will be, of course, be repaired. Those Marauders are moving in, trying to snipe an additional siege tank, but that point defense drone is just doing so well for Legend, minimizing the amount of damage that those Marauders can do. Stim Marauders are so dangerous against your siege tanks, but the use of this point defense drone is actually allowing Legend to remain as cost effective as possible, but he still has a huge supply gap to actually overcome. And we have a big drop being loaded up for Masa at his 4th base location. They are going to fly right into that sensor tower, but it doesn't look like Masa cares. He's going to try to drop all over that, trying to take those siege tanks move from their current location. Really, this is really, really cool what Masa is doing. He's utilizing those first initial siege tanks at the 3rd base to keep those siege tanks of Legend in where they are, and now we have a huge army of Marines, Marauders, and a few siege tanks being dropped down into the main base of Legend. He has no siege tanks in position. He's really got Masa's army is so much more mobile than his, and he's really taking advantage of that. These Marines and Marauders in the production facility for Legend are doing a lot of damage. Add-ons are being killed. The armory is now being targeted with +1 vehicle attack being destroyed.
Oh, no.
Just so much damage being done to Legend by this big drop of Marines and Marauders. And all the time that Masa is doing this, he is, of course, continuing to macro back at his base. The supply is now 82 to 170. So just a huge move by Masa, just taking advantage of mech immobility. He even flew right into a sensor tower to do this. That was the one thing about sensor towers that I don't always like. Sensor towers make you feel safe from drops, so Legend's thinking to himself, oh, Masa's not going to bother trying to drop into there. I've got a sensor tower there, but Masa's like, I don't care, man. I know exactly where your siege tanks are. He couldn't afford to move all of his siege tanks back because those siege tanks were still in position to shell his 3rd base location. So just a really good use of these bio units, the mobility of the medevacs and those Marauders against the mech army. And now I think with this army, there's the GG. Legend knew that he could not hold back that huge army from Masa. Just another dominating performance by Masa in this series. He just looks completely unstoppable right now.
He does, but you know, I just wonder, I think it goes back to that first initial drop where Legend lost so many SCVs. You know, I think if we take a look at the resource collection rate, you know, they were really pretty even, and then that one drop came and took out a bunch of SCVs, and if that Viking had intercepted that drop, I don't know. I think it could have played out differently because I think that Legend did have a good strategy. He had good choices. You know, the point defense drones were really clutch, but he didn't have the income to support the mech that he needed. And it comes back to that drop and that aggressiveness by Masa with the Banshee as well. So if he would have, you know, caught the Banshee, caught some drops, I think it could have been different.
I'm starting to notice this pattern, though, by Masa in every single game that he's played so far. It's never really, well, except for maybe the first one where that just like Stim Marauder, like Marine timing just did too much damage. But with the 2 other games that we've seen from Masa so far, it just looks like every single little engagement, every single little thing that goes on in the game goes his way. He didn't get his command center first scouted. All of his drops have done a ton of damage. I mean, it's just every single small thing that can go in a player's favor seems to go in Masa's favor. And you know what? That to me is really indicative of just a higher level player. When you are a high level player, when you are just that much better than your opponent, all those little things that can kind of go either way, if you're the better player, they're going to go your way. Yeah. And it just seems like it doesn't look like any sort of like his opponents are getting any sort of like easy small victories on him. Everything that they do, they have to work really, really hard to do. I mean, the one thing, like you pointed out that drop that Masa did, but I think the biggest thing that happened in that game was that initial push that he did. And I wasn't actually watching with my camera to see when to see if his siege tanks were actually in position, but I'm pretty sure that that roundabout route that Masa took on that attack actually caught Legend off guard, so that his siege tanks weren't actually ready and in position and in siege mode for when that army of Marines and Marauders came into his natural expansion. So that army actually did a ton of economic damage. And even though Legend was doing a lot of damage of his own with that Banshee, I just don't think it was comparable to how much he lost with that initial push.
Yeah, well, and then also there was a little bit of, him getting lucky too, because, and I think that that's where the skill level comes into play, that Masa's micro was just better, so he was able to manage the Banshee in his base while managing his attack, whereas Legend wasn't able to manage his offensive Banshee while managing his defensive Banshee, and so that caused unnecessary damage, unfortunately. So, it's a tough situation. And that does put NMX here at match point. They only have to win one more game. I think that the plan was to put Masa out and to all kill. I think that they want to come out very strong in the very first game of the series for them. And I think they might have played Masa one time last season, but they definitely didn't in the finals. They didn't in most of the matches that I casted. So I think that they're just trying to make a statement here, and it's a very strong statement. So
Masa right now is just looking so strong. I mean, I'm just actually taking the moment to check his ladder ranking. He's actually a rank 19 Grandmaster with 133 wins and 59 losses, so more than a 2-to-1 win-loss ratio in Grandmaster League. That is just sexy.
He's solid. Well, NMX, they have sponsors now. They're a pretty serious team, and it's really cool to be seeing them, come up through the ranks of the semi-pro type thing, like a lot of the other teams in ISTL. So that is awesome. And hopefully we will be getting into our next game soon. Maybe, hopefully. Joke's too busy talking with people.
Yeah, I think at this point,
chat.
I think at this point, folks, I think we are just waiting for our admin to get the players into the next game. But while he is getting that together, we are going to go to a quick commercial break. You are, of course, watching the ISTL with Vindicare and Pyronia. Stick with us. We will have to see if NMX can all kill Team Metagaming, or if Metagaming can come back and possibly even reverse all kill. We'll have to see, so stay tuned to find out. This is the ISTL. We'll be back in just a second after this quick commercial break.
going to hold us off. The Nexus is probably going to be going down that one Colossi, and there's the ridiculously lagging GG!
Nice. Down to the big one. And those Vikings are going to focus down. All those Colossi are probably going to go down.
No, he doesn't even have Blink yet.
All right, and we are back here for our next game. It is going to be Dirty Zenith, who they did throw up last time on Sunday, versus Masa. So this is the last chance for Metagaming to stay in this matchup. So we shall see.
All right, and we do have both of our players ready in the lobby. I'm asking both players if they are ready to go for the next game. Yes, we can. That was actually we found that out on Sunday, actually. So it does look like both players are going to be ready. I am starting the map right now. It is going to be on ESV Cloud Kingdom. Once again, if you are just joining us, this is the Indie StarCraft Team League. We have a match right now going between Team Nightmares and Team Metagaming. Nightmares up right now 3-0, thanks to the absolutely brilliant play by Masa, who has taken a win in every single matchup so far. This will be his second Terran versus Zerg on the map Cloud Kingdom.
All right, and here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. We have our blue Terran, who is currently up 3 games to, so this is Monster from Team Nightmares, and he's going to be trying to take out Dirty Zenith from Metagaming in a 4th game here for him, and hopefully seal the win, and an all-kill. So coming out strong in this first matchup for NMX in this 2nd series of the ISTL. So, you know, we have seen him play a Zerg before. You know, he was extremely greedy. I wouldn't be surprised to see something greedy again, you know. I think we've seen him be a little bit greedy in every match, right?
Not so much exactly. Like he was greedy in that, like really greedy. That's where I gave him the Michael Douglas Terran nickname. But in that second match against the Zerg player, but on this map it is so much more difficult to do that. I mean, like I said earlier, Metropolis is just an enormous map with so many bases.
He went gasless expand on the first one against the Protoss on this map, didn't he?
Yeah, but that's actually pretty standard.
It's not as,
I mean,
no, it's pretty standard.
He did a little bit more of a greedy variant. I wouldn't even call it greedy so much; it's just unsafe. But I mean, the only difference really was that he was taking that low ground command center before he actually. The other variant would be that you build it like in your base and then float it down. So it's not really that big of a difference. But that second game, man, that was just really greedy.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be playing it a little bit safer this game, and he is actually making his barracks in a little bit of an interesting position. He's actually making it over here off the left-hand side. I wonder if that actually means that he's going to again be going for some kind of like really early aggressive timing on this game. I'm really curious as to why that barracks is there.
Yeah, you know, he might be, I think he has been favoring more of a command center first or an early expansion type play. So I wonder if he's maybe trying to fake his opponent out by not showing where his barracks is. I've got my camera currently on Dirty Zenith to see if he looks. It looks like he's sort of maybe looking around with his scout drone. You know, and he did not make the mistake that his opponent did where he didn't scout to see what was going on. Unfortunately, he just didn't scout the base as thoroughly as he needed to actually see things. So.
Yeah, he does have that engineering bay blocked down on Dirty Zenith's natural expansion, so that does of course force a pull first build. Dirty Zenith is not actually going for that really fast third base location. It's not exactly as safe to do as you can do it against Protoss, so he is getting down that gas, he is throwing down additional Zerglings, but will Dirty Zenith actually go for something really hyper aggressive to attack this once again command center being built on the low ground by Masa? He is just... I mean, you were right. He is going for something greedy. He did open with that engineering bay block, and now he's actually going for a command center on the low ground again.
Yeah, you know, I think he's just really comfortable with that. You know, and it's clearly been working for him, so I can't fault him for it, you know. I mean, he's confident in his skills. He's got good macro. He's got good micro. He has good game sense. So, you know, I mean, you might as well, if he thinks that his skills are good enough that he can afford to do that, then... You know, and at this point, Masa can really afford to take risks. You know, they're up
Agreed.
3-1, you know, 3-0. So if he loses this one, they've got, you know, a bunch more GMs in the wings. So.
I mean, Masa definitely must feel super confident right now, super comfortable in the matchup. He can really afford to do almost whatever he wants because his team is in such a commanding position. But we do have this third base attempt by Dirty Zenith going down, and Masa actually spots it. It's already constructed a bunker within range of that hatchery. That hatchery can't actually see the fact that that bunker is there because the bunker is out of range. So these Marines are going to come as a surprise to Dirty Zenith. He does have Zerglings out on the field, but there is already a bunker in position. I think he's going to have to really force a cancel on that hatchery. Masa is. I don't really know if the Dirty Zenith can really afford to punish these Marines right now.
No, especially, you know, he's got the two bunkers there. He's really solid. So, yeah, I mean, he was definitely going to be forced to cancel. You know, 4 slowlings isn't going to do anything against a couple Marines in a bunker, so.
So, once again, Masa is actually getting away with the build that he is going for. His expansion has been completed before Dirty Zenith, and he was able to shut down that early third base attempt by Dirty Zenith, so the supply is actually completely even, and most times this equality in supply actually favors Terran because most of the time Zerg is actually able to get out such a high drone count at the beginning of a match by going for a 15 hatch. So Dirty Zenith is not in a comfortable position that Zergs like to find themselves in.
Yeah, no, you know, they like to be up a base and have a lot of time to drone and things like that. You know, and he's not. I like this call of the Roach Warren. You know, I don't know that he's 100% ready for these Hellions. He does have 2 queens out here at the choke, so he does, you know, I think sort of assume that they are on the way. I'd like to see an Evo chamber or something down there to maybe help him because there is the potential for a run by, but we'll see.
And it looks like Masa actually, in addition to everything else that he has going for him, he also has some 6 spider senses. He already has a Marauder that is being placed. That is only a single Marauder. It was constructed just for the purposes of being loaded into that bunker in case of a big Roach counterattack. We do have these Hellions poking in out at the natural of Dirty Zenith, but those queens there are going to, of course, repel them. Hellions are not good at breaching the front door on this map, particularly because that entrance is so narrow, it can be blocked off so easily with queens. And actually, Dirty Zenith is trying to go for a third base again, but those Hellions are going to deny that. That drone is not actually going to be able to get there. So again, Masa is denying the third base attempt by our Zerg player, Dirty Zenith, and Masa's third command center has already been constructed, is being turned into an orbital. Even if he doesn't actually use it for to mine at that third base location just yet, he can definitely use it for additional mule income.
Yep, and it's been up for a while here. And we do have Cloaked Banshees on the way as well. And we don't even have any sort of Evo chamber. You know, we do have 3 queens on the field, but they're a little bit spread out. So this Banshee could definitely do a lot of damage. We do have a little bit of a counterattack here with the Roaches and some Lings. You know, but we do have a decent amount of defense over here for Masa. So they're going to get shut down very quickly. I'm surprised you showed that Banshee there, actually.
I mean, at this point, Masa is not actually playing like any sort of secret build right now. He's just using He's just using the Banshees and the Hellions for map control. At this point, like, the Banshees are able to actually kill creep tumors, deny like really early expansion attempts, scout. It's only a single Banshee. He is actually making a second one, but the investment in Banshees is actually not that high right now. He's throwing down a ton of additional barracks. It looks like he's actually gearing up for a timing attack by the looks of things. He doesn't have any medevacs out on the field, though, which I think is a little interesting.
He is going to take down that one queen, and, you know, now he is going to town on this mineral line here over at the expansion. Probably be able to take down a second queen. He might be able to take him down.
There are no spore crawlers in position. He has no lair, so he can't really make an oversteer. These two Banshees, if they manage to kill any more queens, are going to be able to have the ability to do a ton of additional damage to this base. A queen does go down. That spore crawler does finish finally. It is going to repel those Banshees back out to the natural, but those Banshees are going to be in a position where they can put some damage on that hatchery. There they go. But instead, they're going to be moving over to that third base location, which has absolutely no defense at it.
Yeah, you know, so the 3 Banshees, 2 of those being cloaked, that was definitely nice. You know, these bases are really far apart. He doesn't have the queens that he can really go and attack, so he is going to be losing this third just as soon as it comes up. And looks like we've got another Banshee.
Yeah. He is trying, Dirty Zenith is trying to put some additional damage on Masa. He knows that if he continues to take economic damage. He's in a really bad spot, but I don't think that the Zergling run by is going to actually be enough to deny this expansion by their own. Oh, but we do have a Roach attack also coming in at the same time. Are they going to be able to catch that Siege Tank? No, by the looks of things, Masa was just able to save that Siege Tank. These Marines and Siege Tanks are going to be caught by these Zerglings out on the open. They would have been fine if they were behind that wall, but Masa is trying to save that third base location, and I think with this additional wave of reinforcements, he just might be able to do it. And this is actually a pretty big deal for Masa. He's managing to save this third base location. Meanwhile, these Banshees are still doing a ton of damage. They were already able to deny that third hatchery. They've killed a few queens, and they are just continuing to deal damage to Dirty Zenith with no way for Dirty Zenith to really do anything about those Banshees aside from just using Spore Crawlers and queens.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and really nice kills on all of them. You know, 19 kills between the three of them. It's very respectable. You know, and there's still a lot of little places here in Dirty Zenith's base that they can abuse. There are Spore Crawlers, but there's enough that they can abuse here, so they're going to continue to add to their kills here. Very unfortunate. Oh, are they going to deny the third again?
Oh, it looks like a Banshee might actually go down. The squadron of Banshees is actually being killed by that Spore Crawler. That Spore Crawler is a hero right now, taking down 2 of the 3 Banshees that have caused Dirty Zenith such a headache. But it does look like Masa's economy is still just exploding. This seems to be the trend in this game. Masa is just... the nickname, the Michael Douglas Terran, really is sticking with him right now. He just has so much money, so much power. He really doesn't care who he abuses right now. He is just abusing Zergs with his economy, and he is such a scary player right now. Masa is looking so good.
Yeah, he is. You know, and I wonder, you know, do Spore Crawlers have feelings and like thought? You know, I wonder if it's...
They are alive. They can move. They are definitely alive. They can bleed. When you break a Spore Crawler, it definitely does bleed Pyronia, as well as this hatchery is bleeding because it is being destroyed by this army from Masa, and it doesn't actually look like Dirty Zenith really has anything to stop this army. He really only has Zerglings, and there is just a good number of bio units and medevacs out on the field. If Masa can really kill Dirty Zenith if he wants to right now, he has a lot of units back at home. That Banshee has been repaired so she can re-enter the battle, and I just think that I don't really think that Dirty Zenith can hold this with just Zerglings. I really don't. I
agree with that.
We have an elevated play going on from Masa. Those low ground units are, of course, going to be able to protect units on the high ground, but good divide up of those Zerglings by Dirty Zenith will allow him to, I think, clean up this attack, but will he have an answer for the next attack that Masa will surely be throwing at him just as soon as this one is cleaned up? The supply right now is 134 to 77.
23 kills on that tank.
Oh, and he lifts it up too. Masa is just, he's saving his units wherever he can. He is killing things wherever he can. He is just being absolutely efficient with his units in this matchup. He is just demonstrating such a high level of play. I cannot give this guy enough praise for the way that he is playing today.
Yep, and looks like we're going to see another Ling counterattack here, but there's a significant defense over here at the third. Oh, looks like the Ling's going to be following the... following the medevac that's just sort of taunting them, being like, don't you wish you had stilts that you could like jump on, but you don't. We're short.
These Zerglings are like, I wish we could use these wings. I wish these wings weren't useless. We're doing a Zergling counterattattack by Dirty Zenith, but of course is denied by that really nice SimCity of supply depots and bunkers. These Zerglings are getting a good information on where this medevac is going, so that medevac is not actually going to be able to do any damage. But at this point, Masa still just has a huge supply advantage. He's up by 90 supply over his opponent. This army, I don't really know if Dirty Zenith has an answer for this army. This army is so scary right now.
Well, I think he doesn't have an answer is the issue. You know, I mean, he's stopped building roaches. He has an infestation pit, but no infestors up. You know, pathogen gland isn't quite done, so he's probably waiting for that. Ooh, canceled that hatchery at the very last minute. But, you know, economically he's so far behind.
Look at what I mean by, like, just being efficient with his units. Masa dropped, I think, 3 Marines on Dirty Zenith's natural, and he positioned them so perfectly in between those 2 mineral patches that they were able to just kill a ton of Zerglings. Just maximum efficiency out of every single unit for Masa, just demonstrating such a dominant level of play in this series. And there's the GG and the Manor Mules. That's going to do it for that series. Masa just a dominating performance over Team Metagaming. Puts Nightmares up 4-0 in this first series. Nightmares just showing why they are the reigning champions for the ISTL. Just a scary, scary team. definitely someone to contend with, and Masa is the hero for today. Just a convincing 4-0 in taking a game in every single matchup. Terran versus Terran, Terran versus Protoss, Terran versus Zerg, and another Terran versus Zerg. MG just did not have any answer for the Michael Douglas Terran, who I'm just going to be calling him that from now on.
You know, so it's interesting. This season has been really, really interesting because so far we haven't had a single game that's gone to 4-3. So we haven't had any tied matches. We've just had a bunch of games where it's been 4-0s, 4-1s. The most we've had have been 4-2s. So it's been really interesting how these matchups have been playing out. It's been very dominant by one team in the matchup. And, you know, NMX is just continuing to do that. So it's really an interesting series here. So,
well, you know what, Pyronia, that definitely can't happen forever.
I know.
We do have a few teams that have just done very well in the first round so far, but those teams are obviously going to have to meet each other at some point. So at this point, this first round is really just giving us a peek at the kind of competition that we can have. I mean, Masa just put on a clinic of how to be dominant in that game.
He did.
But we have had clinics that have been put on in previous series so far. Deceive put on one of how to play for Team Impulse. Orc just demonstrated some of the best like Protoss versus Zerg I think I've ever seen coming from Team Infused. We've had so many good players already for our team so far in the first round that is just making me so hyped up for what we're going to see in the second round when these players start meeting each other.
Yep, and this is still the group phases. So basically after our group phases, the top two from each group are going to go on to the finals. So it's going to be very exciting to see what they do with that. You know, so we are going to be back on Sunday. We start at, I think, 1 p.m. Eastern, or is it 3 p.m.
3 p.m. Eastern time, so that is 12 o'clock Pacific time. I like to go by Pacific time because it is prettier over here. So check us out. Follow the ISTL on twitch.tv for all of our scheduling, as well as, like, you know, miscellaneous information, interviews, all sorts of different things. The ISTL is doing a great job with the production of this tournament. Once again, I am Vindicare, and she is
Pyronia.
And you can find Pyronia where, Pyronia?
You can find me on Twitter. I have Twitch TV. Yeah, so basically anything that is about StarCraft that is Pyronia, if you just Google Pyronia, that's me.
And once again, guys, I am Vindicare. I have my own solo stream. I'm going to be starting up a new video segment. If any of you have seen any of my casts before, it is called Nostalgia Bomb, so check that out. I will probably be starting that up tomorrow. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/KTVindicare. If you have feedback on my casting, or if you would like your own replay cast by me, follow me on Twitter. Email me, ktvindicare@hotmail.com. My Twitter tag is @KTVindicare. Check me out. I am all over the internet doing all sorts of nerdy things for StarCraft. So thanks for sticking with us. I know this is a pretty quick and painless victory for Team NMX, but we will have more ISTL action coming up on Sunday. So check us out. Bump our thread on Team Liquid. Bump our thread on Reddit. Do your part to help make sure that ISTL gets more and more hype. We need more. We need more semi-professional tournaments for the North American server. It's how we are going to be getting more exposure for our players, because let's face it, there are players that are playing in this tournament that are better than players that are going to be getting stream time at MLG. I can guarantee you that. So make sure that you do your job in getting these players the type of exposure that they definitely deserve. Bump our threads, like us on Facebook, like us on, follow us on Twitter. I'm KT Vindicare. I will see you guys again on Sunday.
Yep, and keep in mind also there's a lot of money on the line, $180 for the first place team. And if you do follow us on Twitter and Facebook, you will be entered into a contest to win some free coaching from some of the pros over at Impulse Esports. So definitely sign up for those. We'll be doing those giveaways during the finals. So I am Pyronia. Thank you so much for watching us, and we will check you out this weekend and next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
To hold us off, the Nexus is probably going to be going down that one Colossi, and there's some ridiculously lagging. GG!
Nice. And those Vikings are going to focus down. All those Colossi are probably going to go down.
He doesn't even have the link yet.